In this video, we're going to be practicing drawing a facial feature on black paper using especially the white charcoal, and then we'll talk about how you can touch up the shadows using the black charcoal as well. And this is going to give you excellent form, excellent contrast, and really make those highlights pop. You can choose any facial feature that you want to use. You can choose any blending style that you want to use. Try some that you are either confident with when it comes to the blending styles or ones that you want to try more practice for. In this video, I'm going to be doing the eye and shading that with the white charcoal on black paper. So I'm first getting my reference picture lined up. Make sure that you have things lined up really well with it. But I'm starting lightly with the white charcoal, and I'm just going to sketch out the eye. So I'm making sure that I'm starting very simply with just using the basic shapes. So basic outline of a circle here, and then trying to look for where the lightest areas are to start pressing those highlights a little bit more and outlining things just a touch further. So with the highlights, remember that the white part of the eye is not completely white, so you should still be showing value change within that white part of the eye. So I'm shading the inside around the iris there, the lightest, and then I'm fading that out into the darker value, just leaving some of the areas black still. You can eventually go back in and lighten some of the areas up, but I would definitely start as simply as possible so you can build the layers of value change. Areas that I'm messing up, I'm just using the blending stump there or the kneaded eraser, and I'm going over it with just lightly pressing and lightly tapping to draw some of that charcoal back out of the picture. And I'm not only looking at just the eye, but I'm looking at the value change that's happening around it as well, because I want to make that eye look like it's actually in the face or fits in that space. So by doing that, it's really emphasizing the form and making everything work well together when I put the facial features into the same drawing. But I'm really taking my time here looking at the different areas that are light versus dark and trying to leave those darkest shadows completely black. Remember, we're going to go over this with the black charcoal. So areas, especially like the eyelashes, that would be very difficult to outline are going to be brought back, and those will stand out more. So I'm taking that charcoal and really just going over the darkest areas to make those refine and stand out. Remember to try to avoid outlining things as you're working, especially outlining areas with white charcoal that are meant to be black. So that's something tricky when you're working with the white charcoal, is what parts do you outline and what do you actually leave black. But try your best to just be outlining or just figuring out those basic shapes lightly. So then if you do decide that it needs to be a darker area, you can go back over it with the black charcoal. Again, you're using your shading to outline areas versus just one harsh solid outline. So find areas that you can blend a little bit better versus just having that dark outline around it. But now I'm going back in with the eyelashes. Remember that the eyelashes create a J shape and then they flip as you go further out on the outside there. And I'm just working back and forth with the black and the white charcoal. That way I can continue to build my layers, and I'm moving around the eye. I'm not just staying focused in one area. So I'm jumping around, building layers, and just moving back and forth so everything can get built up at the same time. But again, when you're using the white charcoal, try not to outline areas that would be black unless you're going to be pressing very lightly with the charcoal. And that, I think, is the most difficult part, is leaving those spots that should be shadow completely black. But go ahead and get started working on that. Remember to take your time, start with just the simple basic shapes, and then look for the lightest areas to start shading first.